Unit 5, practice test number 3. Question 1. Quadratic equations. Instructions say use the quadratic formula to solve. So with the quadratic formula, step number 1 is find A, B, and C. A is the number that's multiplied by x squared. In this case, the only thing multiplied by x squared is 1. B is the number multiplied by x. In this case, B is 3. C is the number that's not multiplied by any x. So in this case, C is 2. The quadratic formula says that the x-intercept can be found by taking negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. Once you do that entire thing, you divide by 2a. You have to do all of this, get that answer, and then divide by 2a. You don't just divide this by 2a. You have to do the whole thing. In this case, I'm going to start off with x equal negative 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 2, divided by 2 times a, and again a was 1. So plus or minus I'm going to deal with in two different ways, two different steps really. The first thing I'll do is calculate the square root. 4 times 1 times 2 is 8. 3 squared is 9. So I have 9 minus 8. So I have the square root of 1. Square root of 1 is either positive 1. Well, square root is technically positive 1, but negative 1 would also solve that. So I can say x equals negative 3 plus 1 divided by 2, negative 3 plus 1 divided by 2, or x equals negative 3 minus 1 divided by 2. For my final answer, negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Or x equals negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. It's always a good idea to convince yourself that that did in fact work. If I go back up here, negative 1 squared is positive 1. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And then I have 2, so I end up with 1 minus 3 plus 2, and that does equal 0. If I go with my negative 2, negative 2 squared is positive 4. Negative times a negative is a positive. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. And then I add my 2. So I have 4 minus 6 plus 2. And that does equal 0 also.